Chapter 2. What are the parts of a plant cell? The outside of a plant cell is called a cell wall. Much like humans have bones to hold up our bodies, plants have cell walls. Cell walls tend to be stiff and rigid, providing the support that holds up all plants, from corn stalks to tall oak trees. Compared to other cell parts, cell walls are thick and strong. Most plant cells have two layers to their cell walls. Lining the inside of the cell wall is a protective layer called the cell membrane, made of proteins and fats. You can look on page 24 for information on fats. The membrane lets water and nutrients into the cell, but it is designed to keep unwanted materials out of the cell. The bark and trunks of trees are made in part of cellulose, the substance that makes cell walls strong. Cell walls are made in part from a loosely woven fabric called cellulose. Cellulose is full of tiny holes called pores so that water and nutrients can flow through the cell walls. You are more familiar with cellulose than you think. The cotton that makes your t-shirt is cellulose. The paper this book is printed on is also cellulose. How are plant cells alike? Inside plant cells are rooms or chambers. Cells with membranes are called eukaryotic cells. Eukaryotic cells exist in humans, animals, green plants, and fungi, organisms that reproduce by spores. The cells in soaring redwood trees, lacy ferns, poison ivy, and lemon trees are also eukaryotic cells. The chambers or structures in eukaryotic cells are called organelles. Organelles are tiny organs much like the heart, lungs, and liver in humans. In plants, organelles do jobs to keep the plant healthy. So see how this is similar to our plant cells, but they have the cell wall and then the cell membrane. The vacuole, a chloroplast, cytoplasm, also has a mitochondria, nucleus, and a nuclear envelope around the nucleus. The nucleus. Most organelles in plant cells are similar to organelles in animal cells. The nucleus is the control center of a plant cell. It works like the brain does in humans. Deoxyribonucleic acid, DNA, is found in the nucleus. DNA is the genetic relating to what carries a plant or animal's characteristic material that determines all the characteristics of a plant. The information in DNA determines if a tree has rough or smooth bark, cones or fruit, and large leaves or needles. It determines a plant's normal height and if it will have flowers. It even determines how many seeds a plant makes to carry on to another generation of plants. Surrounding the nucleus is the nuclear envelope, which protects the nucleus. Sticking out from the nucleus is the endoplasmic reticulum, ER. This is a network of tube-shaped structures. The ER arranges chemicals in plant cells into useful forms and carries the chemicals throughout the cells. The ER produces and uses fats and types of proteins. All plants have the same cell structure. A central vacuole. Although the nucleus controls a plant's cell activities, it takes up very little space in a cell. Most of a plant cell space is filled by a storage chamber called a central vacuole. A plant's central vacuole is large and important. This is where the cell puts unused food, water, and waste material. Vacuoles hold minerals such as calcium, sodium, and iron, and the plant uses to live and grow. Vacuoles also provide support and protection for the cells. These oddly shaped baobab trees look as if they were planted upside down. However, they may have the same cellular makeup as other plants, such as daisies. Mitochondria. When a plant cell needs energy, the mitochondria become active. Mitochondria work as the cell's power center. Mitochondria have their own DNA. Mitochondria get stored food from the central vacuole. They produce energy from the stored food to power the cell's main functions. Ribosomes. Ribosomes are plant protein factories. Ribosomes help form chains of amino acids, which are compounds made of carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen. These amino acids in turn form proteins. The proteins keep plant cells working smoothly. Tiny mitochondria contain even smaller structures that work together to produce energy for a plant's cell. Science tools, the microscope. Organelles are so small, they can only be seen through a very powerful microscope. In 1590, eyeglass makers Zacharias and Hans Janssen made the first microscope. It was a tube with glass lenses at each end. If you remember from our animal book, we also read this. Today's microscopes work just like Janssen's microscope, but are much more powerful. They have an upper lens at the eyepiece and lenses below. The total magnification equals the power of each of the eyepiece lens, 10 times multiplied by the power of the lower lens, which can be, for example, 4 times, 10 times, 40 times, or 100 times. For example, using the 100 times lower lens and the 10x eyepiece would magnify the object 1,000 times. Chloroplasts. Chloroplasts help plants produce their own food. They are green, disc-like organs. Chloroplasts contain chlorophyll. The green in green plants. Photosynthesis takes place inside chloroplasts. Other cell parts that are like chloroplasts store starch or hold the coloring that makes apples red, bananas yellow, and irises a whole range of colors. Cytoplasm. Any remaining space in a plant cell is filled with cytoplasm, a jelly-like substance. Plant organelles float in the cytoplasm. Chloroplasts are organelles in which green plants produce their own food.